Get to the chopper now! Hey, welcome back to the channel. So it's time to take a close look at my first purchase of the Lamborghini. Of course, all jokes aside. So this is a very cheap RC car. There were a couple of them in the shop called the Action. And there are all kinds of different versions. I think there was also the McLaren and Mercedes. However, there are all kinds of different versions out there. And I just wonder, like, is this thing any good? Maybe this is going to be a very fun, cheap, because these things are like $9 freaking, absolutely insane. And it is going to be fun to have an overall great experience when it comes for RC. These things are like super fast, however, they can still be a lot of fun. I did notice on AliExpress all kinds of similar ones, but they are a little bit more expensive and have a different configuration. Particularly the different configuration, I mean when it comes to the internal battery. This thing comes without batteries. That is one thing fact, and it's quite unfortunate when it is to that. However, if you're having the right batteries, we can still have a lot of fun. And yeah, with good batteries, I'm usually grabbing the A-Force batteries from the Action itself. No, this video isn't sponsored whatsoever, but these are like really cheap, and sometimes you can even buy them in massive, let's say, bulk boxes. How about the Lamborghini car itself? The first impression is that this thing looks kind of cool, and it's quite detailed for just a basic cheap RC car. And that is one of the things I'm just flabbergasted about. Like, we live in a time era where we can just have these things for not a lot of money, and they still have a lot of detail. Not on the bottom, of course, because an RC car. We're going to be looking at the options. We can even do a little bit of tweaking when it comes to the front axle if your car is not driving straight. So some features that also implemented on expensive ones. So it's interesting to see what you can actually do with it, and the overall feel is very nice and very sturdy. Having over here just black glass everywhere, so you cannot look in the inside. And it even comes in a very nice plastic spoiler and the Lamborghini name at the back. You can just see some details over there. And I understand there's some light up in the LED headlights, but not in the back. So let's open it up and let's check it out. We're going to be needing, I think it's like AA batteries, but we're going to be needing 3 of them. And then we're having the rubberized wheels over here. And they seem to be a little bit wiggly, but they come with a very nice sticky rubber grip. And that's good, because when you're going to be playing around with this, we do have the maximum grip. However, the remote, let's take a close look at that. Because when it comes to the remote, I do have a little bit of a double feeling. So the reason I'm saying, like, when you're looking at it, you're thinking, hey, this is going to be a very cool overall experience. We do have the option to actually accelerate a little bit, but that's not the case. What we do have in travel, a little bit of wiggling room, you can just feel the micro switch underneath and at the top. And that is a little bit of a downside, because we cannot say, hey, we do have a little bit of acceleration and just make a different turn. No, it's just like on and off. And that's a little bit of a downside. We do have this very cool red cover. Let's remove it, and we're going to be needing AA batteries, but we're only going to be needing 2. The weird thing is that we're having 5 in total that we're going to be needing. Okay. But if you're buying some batteries, there's a very big difference between quality, but also when it comes to rechargeable, because rechargeable is absolutely a no-go. I've been trying this in different RC cars, but due of the voltage difference these things are putting out, you do have less power. As a little bit of a bummer. Maybe with a smaller one, you're not going to be noticing that too much. However, I would not recommend getting any of these batteries and just use the normal ones. Yeah, it's a little bit of a bummer, because I wanted to use rechargeable, and it would be super convenient to recharge them like we're having with the Chinese AliExpress ones that is normally like a different configuration, but we just have like a battery that we can recharge. So we do have different brands like Panasonic. We're having cheaper ones, we have the more expensive ones. But what I understand of with the test that was like recently released from the Action and many other brands, the A-Force battery was actually the best deal when it comes to the price, but also when it comes to the performance. And particularly when you're looking into a car like this, we do need to have good performance, because otherwise the overall performance is a little bad and we don't have a lot of fun when it comes to that. However, so we're getting the A-Force batteries, and we're going to be stuffing them in. So the first thing, you need to always make sure that this thing is turned off. Yeah, because we need to double check. And what I understand is that everything has been synced, so you don't need to do anything. But this is something I'm doing. It's like always turning the power off on the RC car, and then we're going to be first turning on the remote, but we don't need to do anything. Because, so what I understand of, there is no on-off switch on this freaking thing. So when it comes to everything, it is very fast when it comes to, like, say, the input. We do have a little bit of a feeling of a delay, but that has to do because of the wiggle room of the remote itself. It's not annoying, but you need to get used to it. But it will overall not affect in a negative way when it comes to the performance. When you're actually going to be accelerating forward or backwards, you can see that the LED will turn on, and man, they are freaking bright. There's no at the back, so that's a little bit of a downside. It would be cool to have like back ones or backlight LEDs, but that is not for this price. However, it's kind of cool. This thing is very fast, but not to the point that it is going to be too fast. I had like this very funny car reviewed here on the channel, and that had a lot of problems because when you're accelerating, it felt like a freaking rocket, but also at the same time made it absolutely unplayable because we had a very difficulty trying to accelerate and just try to make a corner. And that is not the case. This is a great balance when it comes to making a corner and acceleration. So this is a very cool piece of equipment if you just wanted to just play around with. So when it comes to the fun factor with this, I do love this thing. So, and that for like under the freaking $10, that is absolutely nuts. You can see we do still have a little bit of a drifting going on when it comes to even having, let's say, sticky rubberized wheels. But yeah, this thing can be a lot of fun. Whoops. Thomas drove from the table. So let's get into something different and let's play on the ground. Now we're having a bigger area to race. And I think it's going to be fun to buy a couple of these things and just with friends and just drive around, make a track and see who come across the finish line. So just giving you a different look. The only downside I think is that they should do something with where you can turn on the LEDs, because every single time you're accelerating, it just turns on and it turns off, which you can see over there. So that's a little bit of a downside when it comes to that. But again, they are very bright and they are doing a great job. To giving you an idea, don't try to bash into my camera, but playing around with it, I did notice, and I would love to check out more of these, like say, tiny ones. Like the bigger, like your RC cars are fun for the outside, but if you're just searching something that's just fun and to start driving, I think this can be a very cool deal. So with your Etsy stores, you never know what you're going to be finding, and this is absolutely an hidden gem if you want to start playing with some RC cars. I've been playing for many years, and I just wanted to get into the hobby and just find some cheap stuff to see what is fun to start with. So where we do have a little bit of a wiggle, I really got very quickly adapted to it, so I can still do a little bit of a racing with this car. I love the design, and it makes me really excited to see what they can make for like $10. Think about if you get something of twice or maybe 4 times the price of this. However, how like a durable this is, that is of course questionable. I did bash it into some cabinets and between, like say, racing, and nothing broke off that fast. But I was used this thing in the inside of your house, and yeah, and overall I'm very satisfied. But the wheels get very filthy very easily. Thank you all for watching. Consider subscribing. Let me know what do you think of these RC cars, and it would be great if you subscribe and little bell. Or hit that little bell. That means I will see you in the next video.